So in this video, we're going to go over the basics of managing local user accounts on a Linux box. How to create a local user, how to delete a local user, how to modify some of the properties of that local user, how to set their password, and how to change that password, and some of the UIDs. So to start, how do we add a user on a local box, right? Someone comes into our company, let's say Smith comes into the company, and we need to give him an account on the box because we don't have a central user store like Active Directory. Well, to do that, we would use the useradd command, and then we would simply type the username we wanted to add. And what that does is that creates a user in the etc password file, passwd file. So if I take a look at that, I can see here I've got my users, Smith, Bob, Riku, Sora. I've got Smith's home directory, which should be created automatically, and his default login show. So I'm root right now, right? And I'm in the home directory. So if I do an ls, I can see Smith's home directory was created. And I can switch user over to Smith with the dash. So I created a new, fresh login shell, right? And now I'm Smith. So, but by default, the password is not set for a user, right? So if I wanted to set a password as myself, as Smith, if I had the permissions, I could do a passwd, and then the username you wanted to set or change the password of, but only root can specify a username and change the password and set a password, because Smith isn't a super user. He doesn't have permissions to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and exit. And I'm back root. So now if I do a passwd Smith, it prompts me to enter a password. So I can create a new password for Smith. So we'll do password for simplicity. It's going to tell me it's a bad password because it is. Enter it again. All tokens updated successfully. And now Smith has a password. If I wanted to change Smith's password, it's as easy as, again, doing the password and then the username. So to set a new password and change a password is the same passwd command. So we'll do password 1. Obviously, it's a bad password. And the authentication tokens have been updated successfully. So now that I've created the user Smith and created his home directory, and I've set his password, how do I modify Smith, right? Maybe I need to add him to a group. Maybe I need to make a comment, lock his account, unlock his account, right? And to do that, we use the userdel command. And then if you do a -- help, right, it'll list all your different options for the userdel command. But I'm going to show you a basic use for the userdel command, and that's comment, right? So we're going to do userdel -c for comment. The comment I want to make, and I want to comment Smith and his last name. Well, he'll be Smith, right? And this is a way, if I've set his username something crazy, like just his initials, maybe I need a way to distinguish, because if you see here on the login screen for the machine I'm on, it just says Smith. If I set the login to something crazy, like s.s, who does that belong to? Well, if I add a comment, it's going to show up on the screen, and I will know better. It's a better way to define who a user is to the humans that are reading. And then we'll go ahead and hit enter here. I have to define the user, so it's usermod -c, the comment, and then the user. All right. And then if I go back over here to this login screen of the machine, I can see I now have Smith. And if we do a cat here of etc password, and I'll just grep for Smith, I can see that the comment has now been added to etc password. And you can see an X has also been added when we added the password. That wasn't there earlier. Maybe I want to add him to a group, right? So maybe I want to do a userdel -a for add, G, capital G, for the group name that I'm going to specify. Maybe I want to add him to the wheel group. So I'll do Smith. Oh, sorry, wrong syntax. I'll do wheel for the group name, and then the user. Now, if I do that same command, the cat of the Etsy password, but just grep for Smith. Oh no, I need to do, sorry, cat of the Etsy groups. All right, just grep for Smith. Group. I can see that Smith is now in the wheel group because I've added him to that group. Maybe I want to lock Smith's account, right? So I'll do usermod-l, capital L for lock, Smith. Smith's account's now locked. And you can see that he has now disappeared from this login screen here. We put these side by side here. If I do a usermod-u Smith, it'll unlock his account, and we should see it pop back up here. There it is. It's popped back up. And do a Control L to clear the screen. So maybe Smith's going to leave the company now. How do I delete Smith? Well, there's two ways to do it. I could do a user delete, userdel, and that removes his username from Etsy password. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't delete his home directory. So I'll do a user delete Smith, right? I'll do an ls in the home directory. And we can see that Smith's home directory is still there, even though I've deleted him from Etsy password. So I do an grep here for Smith. Oh. He's not in there, but his home directory is still there. So how do I fix this, right? So if I do a useradd Smith, your home directory already exists. Yes, we know. So then do that. He's back. If I want to delete his home directory, it'll be a user delete -r and then the user. So now his home directory is gone, and he's gone from Etsy password. And this is important because if I do a user delete, so let's add Smith, right? I've created user Smith. If I do an ls-l, I see Smith's home directories here, right? Let's go into Smith's home directory. Let's touch file 1 here. File 1. We can see, oh, I'm actually root, so let me switch on over to Smith real quick. All right. Let's touch file 2. Let's do an ls-l file 2. See, Smith is the owner. It's important to understand that if you do a user delete and it doesn't delete the home directory, the next time you create a user without specifying a UID, it's going to assign the first free UID it can find, right? Which means if I delete Smith but don't delete his home directory, and I create a new user right after I delete Smith, that new user will become the new owner of Smith's files and create a security incident. So here I am as Smith, right? In my home directory, I've got a file called file 2. I own it. If I exit back to root and I do a user delete Smith, I've deleted him from Etsy password, but I haven't deleted his home directory. I go back and I add a user, let's call it Colin, right? I'll do an ls. I'm still in Smith's home directory, mind you, right? But if I do an ls-l on file 2, Colin now owns file 2 in a home directory called Smith. And that's because of UIDs. And because by default on RedHat Enterprise Linux systems, if 7 and 8, I believe, if you delete it, if you create a user and delete them with the user delete, but not the user delete -r command, the next user that gets created by default, if you don't specify UID, will take over the first free UID. So I created Smith with a UID. I deleted Smith. His file stayed. I created Colin. Colin got the same UID Smith had. Therefore, Colin became the owner of the left behind directory and files in the Smith directory. And there's different UID ranges. We've got UID 0, which is reserved for root. So if I go ahead and I do a cat here of Etsy password, you know, I can see all the UIDs here. So if we scroll up, right, we've got root here, which is the UID of 0. We've got bin, UID of 1. Usually 1 to 200 are system users, and they're statically assigned system processes by Red Hat. If you're in a Red Hat Enterprise Linux system, like I am now, I'm on a RHEL 8 system. 201 to 999 are system users for system processes that are more dynamic. They're not set statically by Red Hat. And then usually UID 1000 and up are for regular users. Like you can see Sora, Riku, Bob, and Colin all have 1001 to 1004. Admin has 1000. And then in the next video, we'll go over managing groups, and then we'll go over managing passwords after that.